Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, it's time for Below Grade Level. Put that 17 magazine away and listen to this.
Look back down in the crowded hall. You'll see there's a beauty standing. Is she really everywhere? A reflection. One always calls out to you. The other shy and quiet. Could there be two different girls who look the same at Sweet Valley, Sweet Valley?
Hello and welcome to Below Grade Level, the show where we take the books that we read as kids and read them as adults and ruin them. I'm one of your hosts, Jonathan Eaton, and with me as always is Bekah Eaton.
Hi.
And Zaleski.
Hello.
How are both of you guys doing? Good. Excellent. Good. I'm glad. With us tonight to read the end of Sweet Valley High number 2, Secrets, is returning champion John Walker. John, hi.
Hi. Secrets. I just wanted to say it. I wanted to join it.
Yeah, it's fun.
It's fun to say.
Yes. It's a fun word to whisper. Whispering is fun. People listening to podcasts might like a little ASMR break. I think it helps. You know, it's good for everybody.
What if we whispered this whole book?
I think that might
Like
be
ASMR.
very compelling.
No,
But you know what?
Look, I don't want to be judgmental, but I'm sorry. People into ASMR are weirdos. They're weirdos, and they should be shamed. You're weird.
I don't want to alienate any of our fan base, but
I will.
well, we won't whisper anything except for the word secret.
Secrets.
But welcome back to the Sweet Valley universe, the SVU. We have been having a lot of fun reading this fucking insane ass book. To briefly catch you and the readers up, last time on Sweet Valley High, and basically Jessica went to a party, asked out Ronnie, who had just broken up with Enid. Enid is furious at Elizabeth because Enid thinks Elizabeth is the one that told Ronnie about her almost vehicular homicide. And then
Let's be honest, it was manslaughter.
And then
Well, Enid wasn't driving.
that's true.
Accessory.
Accessory to a potential manslaughter.
Yeah.
I've been watching
Doing
a lot of
almost
legal
manslaughter.
dramas.
Starring William Shatner.
No,
Oh.
I'm not there yet.
Oh, okay.
I'm still on season 6 of The Practice.
Jesus Christ.
Eventually, it turns into Boston Legal William Shatner.
Oh boy. And where we last left off was 88 pages into this book. Elizabeth finally figured out what was glaringly obvious the entire time, is that Jessica's a horrible person and is the one who did all of this.
Someone did a terrible thing. Oh, wait, my sister who does terrible things all the time is responsible for this terrible thing.
It doesn't help that they look the same. It must be a bummer to be Elizabeth.
Now, did you say this was the second
It's
book
called
in
a
the
blind
series?
spot.
Say what?
You said this was the second book in the series?
Yeah.
Okay, so for readers of the Sweet Valley High, like if someone was going through from the beginning, this was
Yeah.
the second adventure, so to speak.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, they've probably gone back and done them as kids, right?
Yes.
So we probably have... Oh, no?
The Sweet Valley Twins series.
Yes.
Well, what I'm wondering is, like, have they gone back in and prequelized it so that Jessica was terrible even then? Because otherwise, this is really only the second time that Jessica has dicked her sister over. If we go like sequentially
Oh, I see what
through.
you're saying.
So I was just,
Yeah.
I'm not,
just
I'm
feel
not trying to
like
defend Jessica, but I'm just I'm just
you're
saying
being a real
it's
Jessica apologist.
right. I really
Maybe
right out of
she
the
has
gate.
like some dark origin story that turns her into a sociopath.
Well, I don't know about
we're
that,
not
but I bet
aware of.
if they do tell stories of them as kids, they probably keep the same kind of goofus and gallant style dichotomy,
Yeah.
right? It's always
Yeah,
the same.
I'd
but like
assume-
it just makes Elizabeth that much more stupid that like,
Right.
she doesn't immediately assume the terrible thing is done by her terrible sister,
Well, yeah,
who she has known her whole life.
Right, but if this was only if at the time this was only the second book, so we could cut Elizabeth a break and say maybe this is only the second time that Jessica has screwed her over, but that's probably not. That's not canon anymore.
I feel like you're giving the author way more credit.
Well, also, she didn't know there was, like, a letter strewn about her room.
That's true.
You know,
I mean, yeah,
she
we
would
had
have had to have assumed that Jessica found it somehow.
Right. Somebody
Yeah.
found
I
it,
don't
and
know.
who else but Jessica?
Just
Right.
connecting some random dots.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But anyway, yeah.
She's supposed to be a
twins-
reporter.
The twins books came out 3 years, or they started 3 years after the Sweet Valley High book started. But I think they ran simultaneously for a while.
Yeah. People couldn't get enough of those Wakefield twins.
And yeah, I really
can't
don't
get enough of these
remember.
Wakefield twins.
I don't remember what the twins books were like because, yeah, obviously they were younger, so it couldn't have been this level of like evilness.
I'm
Right.
assuming that they're similar to like Babysitter's Club.
No, it was just like Jessica
I feel like it
murdering
was
neighborhood
younger.
pets.
I don't know.
Just
God.
early serial killer behavior.
Started small.
Yeah,
It's like
shooting
accusing
squirrels with BB guns.
Yeah. Killing birds.
accusing
just
the
twisting their
homeless
heads
man
off.
in town of like touching her, getting him thrown in
God.
jail. She basically did that in the last book. She's a bad person. All right, chapter 11.
Bankruptcy.
God damn it. Every time. Oh, Enid! Surprise was stamped on Nora Dalton's pale features as she opened the door to her apartment to find Enid standing there. Nora Dalton. Oh, that's the teacher, right? Miss Dalton?
Yeah.
Okay. I just looked at this literal blank piece of paper like it had the answers for me. What on earth are you doing here? I hope you don't mind, Mrs. Dalton, Enid said haltingly, but I really had to talk to you since you haven't been at school. She let her voice trail off as she took in the unfamiliar sight of Miss Dalton wearing a bathrobe in the middle of the afternoon.
Ooh.
It's post-afternoon delight, Miss Dalton. Of course I don't mind. It's just she touched her straight black hair as if wondering if she'd remembered to comb it. She's got sex hair. I wasn't expecting company. You'll have to forgive me if I look a mess. I haven't been very well these last couple of days. Or maybe she's just sick.
Well, I think she's probably got a lot of anxiety and misery from everyone at school talking about how she's fucking a student.
Right,
and
I
she's
forgot.
not.
She was like chased out of town.
Yeah.
I forgot about that.
Real quick, classic me. Hit the X on your download bar on the bottom of your Chrome. And right above it, I think it might be a full screen option.
Nope. Incorrect. Opposite.
Opposite. I heard you were sick. I'm really sorry if I'm bothering you. Enid reddened, suddenly feeling terribly awkward. She'd been so wrapped up in her own problems, she hadn't given much consideration to the ordeal her teacher must have been suffering at the hands of Sweet Valley High's gossip hounds. You're not bothering me, Enid. Come in. I'm glad you came. Nora Dalton looked thinner and paler than the last time Enid had seen her. There were faint purplish smudges under her eyes. It hasn't been that long, has it?
I thought that had been like
Like,
a
not
day.
long enough to become emaciated.
Yeah, like
Well, I imagine she'd been crying a lot.
Well, yeah, but
And she got bitten by a
sound-
vampire bat.
probably.
she was splitting her soul into Horcruxes. That'll take it out of you.
That makes a lot of sense. They sat on the couch in the slanting late afternoon sunlight while Enid poured out her story. Talking to her mother had been difficult ever since the divorce. Mom had enough problems of her own without being dumped on by her kids, Enid figured. Jesus.
God,
But she'd always felt free to confide in Ms. Dalton, sort of like an older sister. The 3 days she had been absent seemed like the longest days of Enid's life. That's what I'm saying.
3
you don't,
days.
like, lose a noticeable amount of weight in 3 days.
yeah.
I'm probably the last person who should be advising you about this, Ms. Dalton said quietly when Enid had finished. But I certainly know how you feel. It's not easy being convicted without a trial, is it? The worst part is knowing it was your best friend who put your head in the noose.
Oh God.
Jesus. Ms. Dalton shook her head slowly. I still can't believe Liz would do such a thing.
Who else could it be? I don't know. But there has to be another explanation.
Are you doing Robin Williams?
Yes. Oh, why would Liz, why would Liz want to hurt you? She's your best friend. Maybe it's like Jessica said. It just slipped out. But she knew how important it was to me that no one find out. That's what really hurts. It's like my feelings didn't matter to her at all. Oh. What does Liz have to say about all of this? Miss Dalton asked, her hazel eyes filled with sympathy. She denies it, of course. Have you considered the possibility that maybe she's telling the truth? Enid stared at the carpet. I guess. I've been too busy being mad to really listen to Liz. I'm losing it, so that's why I'm... Oh. You should listen, you know. No one should be condemned, for all the testimony is in. If you don't trust Liz, aren't you doing the same thing to her that Ronnie did to you? I never thought about it that way, Enid said sheepishly. Because she's a sheep. Talk to Liz. I'm sure she'll understand. She knows how upset you've been. Oh, sometimes people don't think things through when they're hurting. Enid got the feeling Miss Dalton knew all too well what she was going through. The latest rumor around school was that Lila's father had broken off with her.
Oh no!
No.
Oh, we got
I
another.
wasn't
crossed
ready
out
for
word.
a full page of Robin.
Oh, and John, just to let you know, whoever borrowed this copy, or whoever's copy this was that was scanned into the library, could not handle swears on the level of darn and Jesus.
And like gosh.
And
gosh.
gosh, we've been able to see has been
I can't tell what that one is.
covered up in this book.
It looks
Let
like
me see.
yikes.
Yeah.
How
It does
awesome
look
would it?
like yikes.
How great would it be if they scratched out yikes? Like, I'm just gonna be safe. I think this one might be sacrilegious.
Just the one was very obviously
I really
gosh.
can't tell. Yeah, one was definitely gosh, and
Yes.
somebody went through and like scratched it out with pens. So
Wow.
if you see that, it's
It's Ad Lib City.
the mildest swear that you could ever imagine.
Okay.
I doubt if Liz is still speaking to me, Enid said. I haven't exactly been overly friendly to her lately.
Oh, I don't think it's ever too late, Mr. Happy, to say you're sorry in a situation like this, Enid. Nanu.
Damn it.
Impulsively, Enid threw her arms around her teacher.
You know something? I suddenly feel about 100 pounds lighter, even if I don't have a date for the dance.
She ended on a glum note. That was a glum note.
Yeah.
Oh,
My retainer.
why not go alone then? Miss Dalton suggested.
Just because you don't have a date, that's no reason to stay home.
Plenty of
Kids, oh, go without dates. Just hold your head up. That's what counts. You might even surprise yourself. Oh, and have a good time.
Do you really think I should?
Of course I do. I'd go with you myself if it weren't for...
She broke off, clearly uncomfortable about
Laws.
discussing her own problem with Enid.
Oh, Miss Dalton,
Enid cried.
it's so unfair. I hate what everyone's been saying about you.
Even if they weren't saying that,
a
you can't
radio.
go to a dance with a student.
Yeah.
Even as like a nice
It's just-
solidarity friend thing, it's still fucking weird.
It's like that Arrested Development with Heather Graham. Where his
Yeah.
whole plan is to be like, oh, I don't know, do you want to dance?
Yeah, that's not supposed to work.
Enid, she said, her voice catching a little.
I probably shouldn't be telling you this, but I've been thinking quite seriously about resigning. I've spoken to Miss Cooper about it. Oh, and he...
No!
Enid leapt to her feet in a blaze of indignation.
You can't! You can't just quit!
Donald Duck. Oh, man.
Also, just for John Walker's benefit, the teacher was very much like a Dead Poets Society type teacher, and that's why we did
But
Robin
see,
Williams.
I was thinking before he did it, I was like, it would be really funny if one of us could do like a legit Robin Williams impression where he goes into his like ridiculous other voices. And
I
it's not-
honestly thought on my pages I went way too sincere.
Yeah, you were very much Dead Poet Society.
You were like quiet monologue on the Fisher King, Robin Williams, you know?
We're talking about farts and Goodwill
Yeah.
Hunting.
Damn it.
No,
Sorry, who am I,
what's sad
Enid?
is that of the characters, you can only do the evangelist voice now. Because let's think, what
Oh,
were the
'cause
other
the other ones
two?
are-
The other two were like black
Like,
guy
black
and
Latino?
hairdresser.
Oh, yeah.
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 God.
Well, I mean, those were the
Yep.
voices he would just lapse into. You know, it's just so weird. He would just do them, and it's like, I mean, I don't remember ever thinking that stuff was particularly funny. I do remember thinking, like, he had such a reputation for being a live wire and always being on, but sometimes you look back at that stuff and you're like, he really had like 3 or 4 things he did. And I think he's a super talented actor, and I love him, but I'm just saying his stand-up is I don't know how much of it has aged that well.
I don't think I ever listened to his stand-up. I mostly know him from Dead Poet Society and Aladdin.
Mrs.
Honestly,
Doubtfire.
And Mrs.
I feel like
Doubtfire,
yeah.
yeah.
a lot of
And,
his stand-up
Birdcage.
holds up.
Yeah.
Oh, really? Okay,
That's all I got.
I guess.
Yeah, a lot of his stand-up holds up because a lot of it is pre-written, but he does improv and goes on a riff, and it's great.
know
This
if
is
I've
now
ever-
a Robin Williams podcast.
Yeah.
I don't know if I've ever seen his stand-up. I kind of agree with John where, like, I think he's an amazing actor, and I think he's been amazing and stuff, but then, like, sometimes when I see him, like, performing, like, doing that type of shit, I just think, like, all right. Fucking tone it back a little bit. Like,
Yeah, no,
it's a little
honestly,
too on.
when it's just him on a stage by himself, it's amazing.
No, I remember liking some of his stand-up for sure. I just didn't know how much of it, held up, years later, but
Yeah.
Nope, it's great.
All right.
cool.
Let's all go listen
I
to
will
Robin
die on this hill.
Yes.
Yeah.
What about all that stuff you just told me? How can you expect me to hold my head up if you won't do the same?
Mrs. Dalton was staring at her with a dazed expression. You don't understand, Enid. It's not the same thing.
Why isn't it? We've both been accused of something we didn't do. What's the difference?
All the tears Enid had been holding back now streamed down her cheeks. She got up and grabbed her jacket, suddenly feeling as if Miss Dalton had abandoned her. She just helped you a lot.
Running away is running away, no matter what excuses you make.
Enid cried as she stumbled blindly toward the door. Why do I get all the Enid crying scenes? She was gone before Mrs. Dalton could reply.
So she was a ghost.
Miz.
Or she was Batman. She was one of those, too.
Yeah. Our ghost Batman. The doorbell rang as Enid was applying a final coat of polish to her nails. She was so nervous that the noise startled her into knocking the bottle across her dressing table in a splash of pale pink.
Ah, fuck!
She cried, dangerously close to tears once again. But this time, she was determined not to give in to them. Don't give in to the tears. Hold it together, Enid.
Just bury it down.
She'd spent
Just
the
push
last
it down.
She'd spent the last hour applying her makeup.
Why would you end with nail polish? You do the nail polish the day before, so you can fix any imperfections and it's dry. You can't just do nail polish and rush out the door.
Come on, Enid.
Anything you touch will fuck up your nail polish. Come on, Enid.
Enid, get your shit together.
I learned something
Look,
today.
Enid's a mess. She wasn't gonna go to the
She
dance
is a mess.
yesterday.
Enid.
She spent the last hour applying her makeup, and she wasn't going to let anything spoil it. Through gritted teeth, Enid addressed her reflection in the mirror. Oh, God.
You're going to have a good time at this dance if it kills you, Enid Rollins.
And then she slapped herself in the face a
Enid.
couple of times. Enid, get it together, though.
Enid! Her mother stuck her head through the bedroom door. Someone's here to see you. Who? Enid couldn't imagine who would be stopping by at this time. It was nearly 8. Elizabeth would be too busy getting ready for the dance herself. The only other person she could think of was ... Ronnie!
Oh.
She jumped to her feet, her heart taking off at a full gallop.
Oh, Enid.
Mrs. Rollins shook her head, wearing a mysterious smile. I'm afraid not, dear, but I don't think you'll be disappointed when you see who it is. Enid flew downstairs, forgetting that she hadn't put on her shoes.
I bet it's George.
She
Sneaky
came to
moms are great.
Who's great?
Sneaky moms.
Sneaky moms.
Like with like the knowing smile, like
Oh, yeah. I've never experienced that in a good way. She came to an abrupt halt when she reached the living room. George! She gasped in disbelief. This couldn't be the same George Warren she'd last seen 2 years ago. The boy standing before her now was at least a foot taller. A tower of tanned muscle, topped by a gorgeous white smile and the sexiest eyes Enid had ever been
Whoa.
hypnotized by.
I don't mean to interrupt, Becca, but why is sexiest not crossed out? If we're crossing out yikes and gosh, isn't sexiest kind of a randy word?
Nothing has made sense.
I can't remember what it was, but there was other stuff before that we were like, how is this not crossed out?
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
gosh,
I think the last
clearly
crossed out
was.
one was darn.
Yeah.
Someone just does not like knitting.
I don't understand that.
dumb.
You don't darn with knitting.
I just know that you can darn a sweater or whatever.
A sock.
I think you're thinking of socks.
Yeah, darn a sock.
Someone should
that's
write a
not
song about it.
But that's not knitting. It's just sewing.
Isn't that just repairing a sock?
I don't know. This book has weird crossed out words. That's the point.
Chris, your
here.
joke is flawed.
He's gonna die trying to make that joke
Sentence
work.
was so confusing.
I'll forget about it.
He was dressed in a suit and tie that made him look even more irresistible. She stepped forward as if in a trance to take the hand he held out to her.
I want to know how tight that suit is if she can tell he's tanned and muscled. Tanned and muscular.
Yeah, a tower of tanned muscle.
So we need to assume something about the
picture
suit.
him-
That the suit is at least translucent.
Or like,
Yeah.
If not
or he's just wearing
transparent.
the suit jacket and no shirt.
Right, that too, yeah.
It's a beach suit.
Or she can see his hands and face. But only his hands and face are tan.
Oh God, that's a bad look.
I know I should have called first,
Oh God.
he said in a deep baritone.
Checks
I was
out.
gonna say we did him as Nicolas Cage, but that was 2 years ago, and he's a man now.
But I was afraid maybe you'd tell me not to come over. Somehow I just couldn't stand the idea of not being able to see you, Enid.
Oh my God.
I'm glad you came, George, she stammered, finally regaining her senses. Ugh. Oh, George, I can't believe it's you. You've really changed. So have you. For the better, too. I remember when you were a skinny kid with bangs that kept falling in your eyes. And braces, Enid said. Don't forget the braces. How could I? They both laughed.
I had
Within
them on
minutes.
so long I still talk like this.
Within minutes, they were chatting away as if they'd seen each other only yesterday. Even more astounding than the physical transformation George had undergone was the change in George's personality. Enid was utterly entranced. Gone was the angry, sullen boy who had blamed the world for his problems. George was now a responsible young man, a good student, and, he informed Enid to her delight, he had been accepted to Sweet Valley College for the next semester.
She better fucking leave Ronnie for
Right?
George.
She's not even with Ronnie. She
Ronnie's
just needs
a
to
piece
get
of
with
shit.
George.
I
yeah.
know, but she's all sad about it.
I know.
Of course, she'd known from his letters that he'd changed. Well, not like that could be faked.
But she didn't know he was hot now.
Yeah, exactly. That's what matters.
But she'd escaped the full impact of it until just this moment, where the impact of his hotness attacked her.
She was like,
Ah, Jesus Christ!
My basement's flooded.
we keep
Besides-
making that joke.
How could she have known from his letters how absolutely gorgeous he'd become? Enid couldn't stop looking at him.
Licking her lips.
Listen, Enid, George said, engulfing her hand in his large, warm grasp.
Oh my God.
Gross.
How big is
Freakishly large
he?
hands.
Yeah. What is he? Andre the Giant?
This
He's
body
the
horror.
Rock now.
He's the Rock now.
I just talked to Winston, and he told me everything that's been going on. I just want you to know I'm really sorry if my letters got you into any trouble.
Trouble? Enid forgot she'd ever had any troubles. The electric sensation of his touch traveled up her arm, tingling throughout her body.
I just
where?
had puberty again.
I just hit puberty reading that.
About the letters, though,
He went on.
I have to tell you, they were all that kept me going in the beginning when things were really rough. I could see how much you'd changed, and it really inspired me. You believed in me when I couldn't believe in myself. I guess that's why I wanted to see you, so I could thank you in person.
Thank me?
Enid knew she was starting to sound like a parrot. But whenever she looked into those clear gray eyes, anything brilliant she might have said simply fizzled away. Yeah, and to ask you something. He cleared his throat.
So sexy.
I know it's kind of the last minute and all, but Winston told me about your boyfriend breaking your date for the dance, and I was just wondering. Enid's voice returned all of a sudden, loud and clear.
Ronnie's not my boyfriend.
She broke in.
As a matter of fact, I'm not sure he ever was.
Well, he
And
definitely-
yes,
definitely
George, I'd love to go to the dance with you.
He broke into a mile-wide grin. When I saw you in that dress... Oh, what am I doing?
What are you doing?
I was trying to figure out what Chris was doing. When I saw you in that dress, I was sure I was too late. I figured some other lucky guy had beaten me to it.
You look pretty special yourself.
She noted, admiring his neatly pressed slacks and what was under them, and his dark wool blazer.
Why so dressed up?
Well, you see, it's like this. I was hoping you'd take one look and figure a clean-cut, preppy type like me was too good to go to waste. He handed her a small, white florist's box he'd been concealing behind his massively muscular back. Inside was a dewy white orchid, corsage, tied with a purple bow. Real, in parentheses, like a vagina.
George, you liar!
Enid's eyes filled with tears in spite of the fact that she was grinning.
You knew all along I didn't have a date.
What's the difference? You do now. Isn't that all that matters? Isn't that all that matters? That is what I said. Isn't
Yes.
that all that matters?
You
yes,
got
that's
it.
what you said.
I got it
You
the
can
first
move
time.
on.
You got it. You nailed it, buddy.
I nailed it. When they reached the front door, George looked down and started to laugh.
What's so funny?
She demanded. Haven't you forgotten something? He asked. Enid glanced down at her feet.
My shoes!
Never mind. I like you barefoot. Ugh,
Oh.
God. All right, Quentin Tarantino. George wrapped his arms around her, drawing her into a gentle, tentative kiss. His lips were warm and sweet, sending waves of pleasure rippling up her backbone. She curled her hand around his balls, around the back of his neck, holding him closer as their kiss deepened.
You're not going to read that one last sentence.
No, I want to give you it. I want to give it to you. It's my present to you. Read that hot shit.
At that moment, Enid would have walked barefoot over hot coals to go to the dance with George. Chapter 12.
Hot.
Well, how do I look? Jessica twirled before her sister. She looked stunning in a slinky red silk formal with a wide embroidered belt and black sandal heels. I love the descriptions of clothes.
Wait, can you say that
in these
again?
Books. Okay. She was in a slinky red silk formal, whatever the fuck that is. That's a noun, I guess.
Okay.
With a wide embroidered belt and black sandal heels. Long rhinestone earrings
That
dangled
is
from
some
her ears.
beachy shit.
She looked as though she had stepped out of the pages of Cosmopolitan, which was exactly the look she was after. You look sexy, if that's what you want to know, commented Elizabeth, scarcely looking up from the ironing board as she finished pressing the ruffled hem of her own slightly less revealing some word I don't know how to pronounce gown.
What
What the fuck is... I don't know what that
Voile?
means.
Voile? Voile.
Voile?
Voile. It's for like, I only
Voile.
know that from Venture Brothers. Where he's like, pour hot, where's the hot oil? He's like, oh, oil. I thought you meant voile.
What the fuck is voile?
And it's like, he describes it in Venture. It's a Venture Brothers joke. That's
well,
the only reason I know.
voile
It's
thin-
sounds a lot prettier.
Which means it has 80 layers.
A thin, semi-transparent fabric of cotton, wool, or silk. So
Okay,
semi-transparent
those are
fabric.
three very different materials.
The point is that it be thin and semi-transparent, I believe. That's
Okay.
the, yeah.
Well, that sounds pretty revealing, but I don't
Yeah.
know.
Is she wearing
I guess
anything
if there's a
under it
lot
or
of ruffles
over it?
of it, then
Oh,
there's a
yeah.
lot of coverage. Are you sure Ronnie can handle it? You act like Ronnie's my boyfriend, for heaven's sake, Jessica sighed. I told you, Liz. I'm only doing this as a favor to Enid. Christopher.
Oh, yes. I was responding to some bullshit. All right, am I on the left?
Some bullshit that we cut out of the podcast.
Ew!
Am I on the left or the right?
Left.
All right.
I was ewing at your comment in the group chat.
Yes. Yes, that's right. You did tell me something like that. Elizabeth pressed down hard on the ruffle, imagining it was Jessica's head she was flattening.
Jesus.
I didn't ad-lib that.
Nope.
That's what it said. Really, Liz, you've been acting very strange the past couple of hours, Jessica noted, narrowing her beautifully made-up turquoise eyes. What's wrong with you anyway? Nothing. Absolutely nothing. What could possibly be wrong? Well, I don't know, but you've been looking at me like I was the Boston Strangler or something. It's giving me the creeps. Are you mad at me? Mad? How could I be mad at you, Jess? Elizabeth asked sweetly.
Oh, I love this.
Maybe you just have a guilty conscience. Jessica frowned, tapping her enameled nails against the dresser. What would I have to feel guilty about? I haven't done anything wrong.
Nor have
And
I ever.
never have.
Yeah. Jinx.
In that case, you have nothing to worry about. Honestly, Lizzie, I don't know what gets into you sometimes. I should think you'd be eternally grateful to me for all the sacrifices I'm making. Oh, I am. I'm just trying to think of a way to show my appreciation for everything you've done. You are? Jessica's expression brightened.
Jesus Christ.
Sure. I want to see you get everything you deserve. You're a doll, Liz. I take back all those mean things I said. She went back to admiring her reflection in the full-length mirror. What do you think? Should I put my hair up or leave it down? Better leave it down. You might have trouble with the crown otherwise. Oh, Lizzie! She shrieked. Oh, wait. Oh, Lizzie! She shrieked. Do you really think I'll get it? Don't you always get what you want?
Oh, dang.
I certainly hope so tonight. I've been wanting to go out with Bruce Patman ever since we were freshmen. This is my big chance. Finally! Oh, I can hardly wait. I wouldn't get too excited if I were you. Elizabeth unplugged the iron so she could swing it at her sister.
I was just going to say.
You know the old saying about counting your chickens before they're hatched. Tell it to Winston Egbert. Can you believe he's even running for king? Honestly, I don't know how he got it nominated in the first place. Oh, I don't know. I like how everything Elizabeth says is like, she's like the villain.
Yeah,
Oh.
she really is. Tented
I don't
fingers.
know. I happen to think Winston would make some lucky girl a fantastic king. Jessica wrinkled her
giant
nose.
dick.
Ugh, more like court jester. She sailed toward the door in a cloud of perfume. Come on, Lizzie. Will you please hurry up? Our dates will have practically... will be here. Our dates will be here practically any second.
It would be the first time in their lives that Jessica was on time and Elizabeth wasn't. Usually it was the other way around, with Jessica keeping everyone waiting and waiting and waiting. To Jessica's way of thinking, nothing ever really started until she arrived anyway, so why hurry? I'm coming, Elizabeth muttered, a sly smile.
Gross.
Elizabeth muttered, a sly smile flickering across her innocent features. It was the first genuine smile she'd managed in the past week. She was about to teach her dear sister a lesson she wouldn't soon forget, like the last time she taught her teacher a lesson in the last book. Excuse me. The school gym, transformed into a fairyland by tiny lights and shimmery decor, was packed by the...
What?
I couldn't even tell you why that's funny.
It was packed By the time Elizabeth and Jessica arrived with Todd and Ronnie at 8:30, the dance floor was crowded with couples moving to the driving beat of the music under flashes of starry light cast by a huge mirrored ball on the ceiling. The droids were in fine form,
Oh, right.
with Dana belting out a steamy Linda Ronstadt tune.
What?
What does Linda Ronstadt sing?
I need you now tonight.
No, that's Bonnie Tyler.
Oh, I don't know.
Fucking idiot. I can't wait for...
You don't. He can't even name one. So go
No.
fuck yourself.
I can't wait for the voting to start. Jessica
John,
whispered.
you're old. What's a Linda Ronstadt do?
She had one called "Fuck You."
I don't know any of the songs on her.
No, honestly, most of the stuff she
Deflection.
did,
It's just like
I
country
believe
stuff, right?
I know she did one that with like it was with the Nelson Riddle Orchestra, and she did a lot of standards, and that's the album I remember like a lot of old people when I was a kid liking. But she was like married to George Lucas at some point, wasn't she? Or she dated him, and she was kind of a hottie. So I do think she had like a period where she was doing kind of like new wavy stuff. But I think she was always kind of the voice, you know, doing songs that were maybe written already, or you know, her interpretations or whatnot.
I thought she was a country singer, but maybe I'm...
She probably did a country-ish album. I mean, she was one of those pop stylists who just sort of did.
It sounds like a country singer name.
It does.
Wait. Well, I Googled her, and she's coming up on a bunch of Eagles songs, which I don't really understand.
Oh.
She may sing backup or something on those, you know?
Or maybe she's like, she pulled a Prince and she wrote a lot of stuff.
I don't think she wrote much, if anything. I think she was more one of those people that other people wrote for, and that she had like producers putting together material, you know, for her to put her velvety tones on.
So there's litter all over me from where Dusty jumped up. Well, the droids were belting out a steamy Linda Ronstadt tune.
Yeah, whatever that means.
whatever the fuck that... I mean, I guess she sang some steamy song.
The Boogie Woogie Bugle Boy of Company B.
God damn
It's a
it.
great song.
I seriously,
Steamy.
I don't recognize any of these songs.
What's like
I
the
don't think we would
number
by
one
name.
song on her Spotify? I don't know if you looked at that.
I did,
Oh, what's
and
the
it
first
is
thing that
Blue
comes up?
Bayou.
Blue Bayou.
Okay, yeah.
There's a
Do you know
song
that one?
called "Don't Know Much."
Don't know much.
Oh,
Sounds
no
like a country
good.
song.
When will I be
That's
loved?
an Aaron
and
Neville
Oh, you're no
song.
good.
flowers?
Do you not know that one? Do you not know? You're no good. You're no good. You're no good, baby. You're no good. Oh, you're no good. So that's
Hold
her
up to the mic. We're taking a Linda Ronstadt steam break.
taking a Ronstadt break here on BGL.
Oh, I do know this.
Oh.
Yeah, see, you know that voice
Yeah,
too.
yeah, okay. Yeah, and I know the
Yeah.
voice. Okay.
You know how many casseroles were made to this music?
I was surprised
You know
to
how
learn
many-
she sang on an Aaron Neville song.
How many of us were conceived to that song?
Ew.
Right.
All right, that's pretty steamy. All right. What's this one?
It's the Aaron Neville song.
I don't
His
know-
voice is
I don't
hilarious.
know anything about Aaron Neville.
Look at this face. I know the years are showing.
Well, hearing him say, "Look at this face," and this is what I'm staring at.
Look at this face. But don't look. Yeah.
It's like Kermit.
There's a great joke in Scrubs where Turk is caught in the elevator with a voice recorder, and then Carla walks in and she's like, "I know you're practicing your Aaron Neville impression." And it's a lot of him going,
From that one
It's great.
second I heard, it sounds accurate.
yeah.
I can't wait for the voting to start, Jessica whispered to Elizabeth.
Very subtle.
Me neither, Elizabeth answered, wondering if her sister would be so anxious to win if she... wondering if her sister would be so anxious to win if she knew what was in store for her. Fucking pig's blood. Elizabeth
Wow.
spotted Caroline Pierce looking hideously girlish in a ruffled pink organdy? What? Organdy?
Where?
Pink organdy.
I looked up voile. I'll look up organdy.
Look up organdy. In a ruffled pink organdy dress that clashed with her hair and wandered casually over to whisper something in her ear. Probably.
Okay, a fine
the fuck are you
translucent
wearing?
cotton or silk fabric. So this is once again a
Wait,
translucent fabric.
That sounds like the same thing as the other thing.
Is everyone just wearing taffeta?
There's a difference here, though. Organdy is usually stiffened and used for women's clothing. So I guess this would be that kind of, like a
starchy?
flouncy kind of, yeah. You can make it kind of a shape
All
or
right.
something. Maybe some ruching.
Caroline smiled, her eyes widening.
Sorry, I'm trying to put this Lego alligator on a Lego dog.
Why did Caroline's eyes widen, Becca?
The minute Elizabeth walked off, Caroline was busy gabbing to the person beside her. Elizabeth figured it wouldn't take long for word to spread now that Caroline was in charge. Wait,
Fucking
of
mouthy
what?
bitch.
Did I miss something?
That's the
while I
sequel to
was
Charles in
Lego?
Charge.
No, they still haven't.
Oh, okay. Oh,
They
there's
haven't-
a
they
new
haven't
secret or
yeah.
something,
Oh, it's the new secret!
which is probably
Secrets on secrets?
yeah, I don't know.
Makes it secret number 3, or
No, the second one was just a rumor.
Elizabeth was dancing with Todd when a stir at the entrance nudged her out of her blissful trance. She craned her head to see what the commotion was all about and caught sight of Ms. Dalton sailing through the crowd with her head held high. I wondered if she was going to show, Elizabeth said. I saw her name on the chaperone list, but I figured she'd still be too sick to come. Looks like she made a miraculous recovery, Todd observed appreciatively. It was true that Ms. Dalton had never looked prettier. She wore a long velvet skirt and an old-fashioned blouse with lots of ruffles and tucks. They fucking loved ruffles
So,
in
like,
83.
It just sounds like she's wearing the
Ruffles
Jerry
on
Seinfeld
ruffles.
pirate shirt.
Jerry
bet it looked
Seinfeld
great, though.
pirate shirt with a long
Velvet.
velvet skirt.
So she's
And
dressed.
we are in California, correct? Like, they are wearing a lot of heavy clothing.
Yeah.
Like the
But
wool
it's the fall
jacket.
dance.
Yeah, but
I love that
it's
she-
still-
California.
She never looked prettier, and then it just describes her as like a pile of fabric that came into the room.
Well, I do think it's actually accurate that like if it gets
She
to
was-
if it's like 70 degrees in California, they're like, oh fuck, it's cold.
Yeah,
Let's
that's
gotta
true.
put on a parka.
Well, she was dressed like a fucking pilgrim in her ruffles and velvet and tucks. Her hair was perfect, and she had a silk rose pinned over one ear. It was obvious she'd gone to a lot of trouble to appear at her very best. Hey, Miss Dalton, where's Ken? A rude voice hollered. She halted. Elizabeth held her breath, not knowing what the teacher would do, but her only reaction after that momentary hesitation was a smile even more broadly. She continued on to the refreshment table, where she was greeted warmly by the other chaperones, Mr. Collins in particular. Also, am I saying it wrong? Is it chaperons? Because I thought this word had an E in it.
I've never
And
seen it spelled without an
yeah.
E.
chaperon and chaperons.
Chaperon? No.
I thought it was chaperone.
It's
It's
chaperone.
chaperone.
Could be
Chaperone.
wrong.
Yeah.
That's like a weird French thing.
Although
where
now
the
that we've
singular
said it
is
so
also the
much,
plural.
Chaperon.
Like
None of it
moose.
sounds like a word.
I don't think it's chaperon.
It's chaperone.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it's also chaperone.
Well, chaperone, but then if there's multiple, there's chaperones.
Yeah.
It's not
Okay, you know what it is?
Chaperone is not the plural, also.
No E is the British spelling. E is the American English spelling. No, I just looked it up.
Okay.
I've been
I
I've
was
been the
like,
lookup
are you-
guy tonight.
Honestly,
yeah,
I
I
was
looked up
like, I
organdy.
can't
I
tell
looked
if
up
he's being
foil.
serious or if he's
I'm
just
gonna look
fucking
it
up.
up. Guy,
I'm pretty sure she's American.
What, did my dad write this book?
He took her hand and whispered something in her ear. Ms. Dalton nodded, and the two of them drifted onto the dance floor as the droids launched into a slow number. Elizabeth sighed in happy relief. Looks like she's going to make it after all. I didn't add
Mary
that.
Tyler
That's a
Moore.
real thing.
I know. She threw her hat up in the air.
And the freeze frame.
Yeah.
People are still gonna talk, Todd remarked. They'll get tired of it after a while and move on to something else. Let's just hope it's not us, he laughed.
Oh, but you're so boring, though. What would they even
Hardly.
say?
What would they have to talk about? We're too boring. All we ever do is hold hands and kiss.
He's like,
Doesn't sound too boring to me. Todd's arms tightened about her waist as he tickled her ear with his lips. By the way,
I got John good with that one.
Elizabeth wondered aloud, where is Ken? I haven't seen him. He's not still sick, is he? You mean you didn't hear? There have been so many rumors, I can hardly keep them straight. Well, I talked to Ken myself. He was supposed to take Lila Fowler to the dance. But when he found out she was the one who started that rumor about Ms. Dalton, he dropped her. Lila started the rumor?
According to Kara, she did. But then I wouldn't exactly call Kara Walker a reliable source. If it's true, I'd say Lila got what she deserved. This is evil fucking Elizabeth.
Jesus Christ.
If it's true,
I mean,
I'd
I'm on her
say
side.
Lila got what she deserved. Just like someone else is about to get what she deserves, Elizabeth thought as she caught a glimpse of her sister flirting with Bruce Patman. Elizabeth couldn't believe it when she turned and saw Enid floating in on the arm of an absolutely gorgeous boy. She was glowing with excitement, her cheeks flushed, her eyes shining. She wore a pale mauve off-the-shoulder dress with lots of extra fabric. It showed off her slender figure to perfection through a translucent, diaphanous cotton silk blend known as a schmorgelde. Her hair was pulled back, anchored by delicate mother-of-pearl combs. The shimmering whiteness of the flower George had given her set off her radiant smile. Liz had never seen her look so beautiful. She was dying to rush over and ask Enid what had happened and who she was with, but she fought the impulse. Suppose Enid snubbed her in front of everyone. All eyes were on Enid and her spectacular date as she sailed across the dance floor. Elizabeth couldn't risk the humiliation of having Enid cut her dead. Cut her dead? Cut her dead.
Yeah, with a knife.
What?
Apparently there's something going on in this scene I'm not gathering. One thing I do think is Enid hasn't touched the floor in a while. She's been floating, she's been sailing.
Maybe she's the ghost.
Yeah, she's diaphanous. No wonder her clothes are so translucent. See, it's a clue the whole time.
I don't think I've ever laughed at the word diaphanous, so that's a new thing for me.
Yet she would have given anything to talk to Enid, to have things the way they were before Jessica had ruined it all. Todd had just gone off to the refreshment table to get some punch when Elizabeth noticed Enid was walking toward her.
Her pulse quickened. Was Enid still angry with her? She felt the heat climbing in her cheeks as Enid approached. Enid wasn't smiling. She looked tense about something.
Liz,
Enid placed a tentative hand on her breast.
can we talk? I know you're probably furious with me, and you have every right to be, but I just want you to know how sorry I am for the way I've been acting.
You're sorry? Elizabeth was stunned.
I never really believed you were responsible for Ronnie finding out about the letters. Not deep down in my heart. I guess I was just so angry at everything. I was using you for a dartboard.
What?
It was wrong. I know you would never do anything to hurt me, Liz.
Tears filled Elizabeth's eyes as she hugged her friend. Oh, Enid, I'm so glad. I was so afraid we'd never be friends again.
We're going to the ear, remember?
Enid laughed.
Ear?
At the ear, Liz.
She was referring to their marathon session over the phone. Sessions.
Oh,
Okay.
sure.
Her own eyes shone with tears as well.
I'm just so relieved you're not mad at me, Liz. I was positive you'd never want to speak to me again.
How could I not want to speak to you when I'm dying to know who that fabulous guy you're with is? Enid? Who the fuck is he? Enid smiled, her face taking on a dreamy expression. Oh no. The ghost dog.
Watch out for the dog. Quickly, she filled Elizabeth in on everything that had happened. George is pretty special, she said, and not just on the surface either. I know I'd never have to pretend to be someone I'm not when I'm with him. You're so right, Liz. Honesty really is the best way. I don't think it would have worked with Ronnie, even if someone hadn't told him about the letters. The fact remains that someone did tell, Elizabeth said, and I happen to know who it was. Who? Enid asked. I can't say, but I want you to know that the person responsible isn't going to get off without a few scratches of her own. See, it's feeling like Elizabeth is almost as evil.
Like, yeah.
Well, it has the same capacity for it.
Yeah, and
But uses it to punish.
Right.
Not sadistic. Like, she doesn't use it sadistically.
She doesn't have thoughts in her head like, oh, I know how I can manipulate these people to get what I want.
not to get what she wants, but also like
to punish
can be
them.
Resolved peacefully. She
Yeah.
doesn't
Yeah.
have to be punishing people.
No.
Actions have consequences, Ben.
Well, Elizabeth will carry those consequences out, apparently.
She's no,
She is
like
Batman.
I said in the first book, she is Batman.
She's Batman.
All right.
It's gonna break some limbs and cause some lifelong head trauma.
And some scratches.
But she won't murder.
Enid shook her head in amazement at the way things had turned out. A week ago, she would have wanted to strangle whoever had been responsible for ruining her relationship with Ronnie. Now she really didn't care. It was partly because of George and partly because her talk with Ms. Dalton had made her realize that a relationship that wasn't built on honesty and trust wasn't any kind of relationship at all. And that went for friendship, too. Friends had to trust each other even when things got messy. You know something? Enid said. I should really thank whoever did that to me. She really did me a favor in the end. Enid, you stupid bitch.
Do you ever think Batman like breaks a criminal's arm and the criminal's like, "Oh my fucking god, you broke my arm," and Batman goes, "Oh my fucking god, you broke my arm."
Just mocks them.
Yeah, like why wouldn't he?
Sure,
All right.
okay.
I needed to get that out. There has to have been a moment where Batman's just like, no, my ankles don't work anymore. Oh, I just think that's so funny. All right. Enid, Elizabeth admonished. There is a point at which you can be too forgiving. No, I really mean it. If I hadn't broke up with Ronnie, I never would have realized how narrow-minded I was. And,
He was.
she added with a sparkle in her eye, I wouldn't be here with George either. Elizabeth hugged her best friend. Oh, Enid, I'm so happy for you. I hope he knows what a terrific girl he's getting. He'd better, Enid replied. I'm through with apologizing for myself. Whatever mistakes I made in the past are over and done with. I learned from them.
Is Enid John Wayne now?
I don't know if that's what I was going for, but
Okay.
it's a turn in her character.
It is. I'm glad she's
And that's all
changing.
that counts. Hey, when you two are finished grabbing, I'd like to dance.
Gabbing.
Gabbing.
Hey, when you two are finished gabbing, I'd like a dance with Cinderella here, George interrupted, appearing before them with a cup of punch in his hand. Without taking his eyes off Enid, he gave the cup to Elizabeth. That's a smooth move. I just want to put that out there. Enid laughed breathlessly as he drew her into his arms. I don't know what voice to do for Enid now. I'm going back to the regular one. Liz, I'd like you to meet Prince Charming. He's got this thing about shoes, you see.
Does he? Because, ew.
Actually, George said, trying to keep a straight face, I'm nuts about her handwriting. Even if she is a little strange, she writes terrific letters. Enid pretended to be hurt.
Is this banter?
Is that all I am to you, just a pen pal? What do you think? George turned to. Scroll up. Elizabeth with a mischievous look.
Should I trade in my pen and paper for the real thing?
Wait,
They're doing banter and it's terrible.
who's the she? Is this
Yeah,
still
it's
Enid?
bad
Okay.
banter.
Is this still Enid? Okay. Should I trade in my pen and paper for the real thing?
I give it my stamp of approval.
She giggled. Hold on, she's giggling.
Okay.
I'm giving my stamp of approval.
As George and Enid whirled off into the dance floor, Elizabeth noticed a number of people staring. Enid had certainly never looked so lovely. No one has ever looked so lovely as they
Yeah.
did tonight. That's like the third time. And I think that's the second time Enid has been described that way, but maybe I'm wrong. And George made her the envy of every girl in the room. Even Jessica had pried her eyes away from Bruce long enough to take a good long look. Ronnie was the only one who appeared unhappy. He was scowling at George and Enid as if he'd like to murder them both.
And he's
Enid
capable
might
of it.
never make queen if he had anything to do with it, Elizabeth realized.
But does
Somehow, though. Sorry, what?
I know.
I was just saying, does he? I mean, like school
Yeah.
dance voting. You
Yeah.
just
Right.
write a thing on a piece of paper.
He's just gonna
I
threaten
don't
everyone
really
with
know
death.
if George can do anything about it.
Enid might never make queen if he had anything to do with it, Elizabeth realized. Somehow, though, she didn't think it would break Enid's heart if she lost. They're voting now! Jessica rushed over to whisper. Okay, they're voting now! Jessica rushed over to whisper in her ear.
Oh, Lizzie, I don't know if I can stand the suspense.
Do this one too.
13. A breathless hush fell over the gymnasium as the results of the voting were handed over to Ronnie, who stood poised on stage to announce the new queen.
It sounded like this.
Well,
The breathless hush.
well, by a landslide, he boomed into the microphone.
you
The
being
winner
Ronald
is...
Reagan?
A few people were looking at Enid, obviously wondering if there was a chance she could have won. Well, Jessica Wakefield. I don't believe it, Jessica shrieked, as if she hadn't known all along, in every inch of her bones, that she was going to win. She glowed with the radiant sense of accomplishment. She had worked so hard for this moment. Now it was all going to be hers. The
Peace
crown,
in high school.
the boy she adored. Everything!
And I'd like to remind the listener that this is not prom.
Yeah, it's just a fall dance.
It's not homecoming.
Yeah.
It's a fall dance.
It's a dance.
It's a made
They haven't even gotten their first
that
report
no
card
one
yet
celebrates.
this year.
Yeah. It's not, homecoming's in the fall, so I don't really know why they're not saying it's homecoming.
Yeah.
And it's not prom, which is a much bigger deal than homecoming.
Yeah.
This is just a random fucking fall dance. I just wanted to point that out again.
Just want everyone to know. She held her breath even so, as Ronnie leaned into the microphone to announce the king's name. It had to be Bruce, she told herself. Everyone knew he was the cutest guy in school. No one else came close. She glanced over to where he was standing, slouched against the wall, whispering into his date's ear as if he didn't care whether he won or not. How could any guy be so incredibly adorable? Ronnie's voice crackled through the microphone as he read the results of the voting off a slip of paper. Okay, folks. Well, are you ready for this? Can we have
Ronnie Reagan.
Can we, can we have a drum roll, please? Emily Mayer, the droids' drummer, obliged as Jessica stood licking her dry lips.
Ew.
And she was like,
You're gonna get chapped.
each drum beat
That's
echoed
why
in her
they're so dry.
echoed her hammering heart. Oh, please let it be Bruce. Our new king is. Our new king is. ... Please, please. Oh, well. Winston Egbert. Congratulations, Win, wherever you are. A loud whoop from somewhere in the thick of the crowd announced Winston's whereabouts. Of course it did.
Winston's Whereabouts is my favorite
I
kids
thought you
show.
were gonna do the whoop.
What'd you say, Chris?
I thought you were gonna do the whoop.
I was trying to I'm trying to remember what his voice is. Hoop!
He's like the nerdy red-haired kid from Daria.
Yeah.
That's like
Ooh.
nerdy but sassy.
Yeah. Whoop! Jessica listened in stunned disbelief. It wasn't possible. This wasn't happening to her. Her heart went into a sudden tailspin as the meaning of it sank in. She would be stuck with Winston for the rest of the semester for any big school events. Her vision of gliding across the dance floor in the arms of Bruce Patman vanished under a cloud of dark fury.
Well, she wasn't going through with it. She would refuse the crown. Let someone else be stuck with Winston. This whole mess was the fault of Enid and her dumb letters. Let Enid be queen. Congratulations, Jess, Kara screeched, swooping down on her with a fierce hug. I knew you'd get it. I just knew it. Aren't you happy? Aren't you just positively ecstatic? I'm so ecstatic I could die, Jessica groaned. Can you believe it? The big disco dance is coming up in exactly 3 weeks. They're having
The
another
big
dance
disco
in 3
dance.
weeks. And it's a disco, and we're in 1983 right now, I think.
How many dances do these people have?
Oh my god.
I'm telling
it's
you-
like
They need to calm
it's
down.
like the
It's like
college and
Community.
community.
Yes.
Where
Right.
they have dances constantly.
At the time of this being written, saying the big disco dance is like that's like the lamest, laziest bit of writing. Do you know what I mean? Like just like let's just come
yeah.
up with something. What are we going to call it? The big dance? No, that's too general. The big disco dance. Got it.
the
Okay,
disco
good. We don't.
dance.
Yeah,
And it's 3 weeks from this dance.
yeah.
Oh my god.
And I'm stuck with Winston Egbert. She was close to tears. I was so sure Bruce would be king. Now he'll be taking someone else. How could anything so hideous have happened to me? Kara was confused. But I thought you wanted to be with Winston. Everyone's been saying you'd really flipped over him. I thought it sounded kind of funny since I know how crazy you were about Bruce. But let's face it, Jess. You have been known to change your mind on more than one occasion. I'd like to murder whoever started that rumor, Jessica muttered darkly. Who could hate her enough to do such an awful thing? See, this is what
Honestly.
I'm saying. Elizabeth is dark as fuck.
Yeah.
Like, she's not some angel
but-
in this story either.
Well, like
You reap what you sow.
Jessica does a lot of really overt shitty things and is like very on the surface like really shitty to everyone all the time. And then Elizabeth like
is
keeps it bottled
reactive.
up. But like when she does a shitty thing, it's like it is much more like calculated and evil.
it is.
Jessica's
and,
proactive. Elizabeth's reactive.
Yeah, because Jessica just
but
does
it's laser focused on
Yes.
Jessica,
Yeah.
but it's still a lot of evil effort.
But to Chris's point, Jessica brings all of it on herself, like by doing so much shitty stuff over and over again. Like literally saying things like, how can I get what I want? How can I fuck with these people to get what I
I'm
want?
not saying Jessica is okay and doesn't deserve bad karma. I'm just saying Elizabeth is going out of her way to manipulate situations
Yeah.
to be
To, like,
fucked up to her sister.
super fuck up
and
her
that's
sister.
not great either.
No. Oh, it's a cycle.
Well, also, like, this being book 2, I doubt Jessica ever learns her lesson.
I'm sure she
Even
doesn't.
though any normal person, like, when you fuck over your twin twice now, and your twin all of a sudden, like, does something like this, and, like, sits you down and says, stop fucking with me, most people would be like, okay.
Yep.
Jessica is like the rest of the Bluth family. Elizabeth is like Michael Bluth.
Yeah. No, it's
You know
true.
that sort of slow burn reveal that he was just as bad as them kind of thing. It's
Well, yeah,
like
'cause,
that.
You're tricked with the rest of development. You're tricked into thinking Michael's the good one, but he's not good. He's just
I still feel like he's a little bit less evil than Elizabeth is seeming to be.
No, I was just saying that
Yeah.
comparison of like, here's a
Yeah.
person who seems good because they're reacting to somebody worse, and then when you
Yeah.
realize, oh wait a minute, they're kind of propping themselves up as the good one when in a lot they kind of need the bad one to seem good. I guess is my point.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's
definitely.
for sure.
I
It
agree.
being book 2 just makes me think that Jessica is that kid that just keeps sticking their hand in the fire, knowing they're going to get burned by Elizabeth.
it's
Because
probably accurate.
Elizabeth is the fire.
God.
Like, hey, you could just, like, stop doing that, and you won't have to suffer. Like, stop fucking with me.
Don't you know what I'm
smarter
capable
than
of?
you. I'm better at this than you, but I use my forces for good.
Oh man! All right, where
It
are
is
we?
very intense. I'm still reading.
Okay.
I love the SVU.
Suddenly, Jessica remembered about the funny way Elizabeth had been acting earlier that evening. She remembered Elizabeth saying that Winston would make some lucky girl a wonderful king.
It had to be. Who else but her own twin would be jealous enough of her to want to stab her in the back? She'd always known Elizabeth was jealous, and why not? Jessica was 1,000 times more popular, she told herself, completely reinforcing her irredeemability, if that's a word. Jessica was glowering, close to tears. When Elizabeth tracked her down near the refreshment table, Elizabeth was smiling. "Congratulations, sis," she offered. "You don't look too happy about it." "How could you do such a horrendous thing to me?" Jessica hissed, her eyes throwing off sparks of green fire. I doubt that really happened.
Sounds magic.
"I haven't the
Wizard
slightest
fight.
idea what you're talking about," Elizabeth answered, smiling sweetly. "Would you like some punch, Jessica?" "I'd like to punch you in the face."
Good one,
"Don't play
Jessica.
innocent with me. You know very well what I'm talking about. You're the one who started that rumor about Winston and May, so that everyone would vote for him. Don't you dare deny it." "Okay, I won't. I did start the rumor," Elizabeth glared back at her sister in defiance. "How could you, Liz? You've practically ruined my life." "You mean the way you tried to ruin Enid's?" Some of Jessica's anger fizzled. "I don't know what you meant." "Oh, I think you know very well. You're the one who told Ronnie about those letters. You purposely came between Enid and Ronnie just so you'd have a clear shot at being queen."
Well, Jess, you got what you wanted. Aren't you satisfied? "I'm not going through with it," Jessica stormed. "No one can make me. I won't be stuck with creepy Winston. I'll resign." "No, you won't, Jess," Elizabeth said quietly. "What do you mean? You can't tell me what to do." Jessica was so furious, she thought she just might strangle her sister on the spot. Only the thought of spending the rest of her life in jail, away from Bruce, kept her from...
Yeah, that's why she would want to...
Priorities.
What's so special about
Man.
Bruce? Am I missing...
Can't be near this. They're not even dating.
Yeah.
She's
She has
just
a nice
been trying
car.
to flirt
Nice
with
car.
him, and he's been like brushing her off.
And also, like, that's her reasoning for, like, not wanting to strangle and murder her sister
Yeah.
and go to jail is because it'll keep her away from the boy she likes, not because she'll have committed... What's the sister side? Sister side.
Soror side.
Soror
I
side.
just
Soror
made
side.
that up. I don't know.
Yeah, but it sounds
Probably
good.
that.
I
Yeah.
like it.
It's fratricide.
Only the thought of spending the rest
that
of
was
her life in jail away from
brother
Bruce kept her
I'm
from
gonna
going
Google
through
what's
with it.
the word for when you murder your sister.
Oh, you shouldn't.
I feel like
It's
I'm gonna get a
fratricide.
list.
Fratricide.
Is that just
But
sibling
that's
murder? General sibling murder?
Yeah, general sibling murder is
Are you
fratricide.
looking it up?
Are you Googling general sibling?
I just googled fratricide, and it says killing of one's brother or sister.
Oh, okay.
General
was
sibling
right.
murder was the most obscure G.I. Joe character.
Jesus Christ. Oh, man. It's so dumb.
All right. Where are we? Oh, yes. Only the thought of spending time away from her boyfriend or the guy she likes was what stopped her from killing her sister.
Yeah.
You're going to walk up on that stage and accept that crown as if you were Miss America, Elizabeth was saying in a threatening voice. Oh, I'm going to actually go back. I like
Oh,
this
yeah,
reading
yeah,
here.
yeah.
You're going to walk up on that stage and accept that crown as if you were Miss fucking America. Not only that, but you're going to love every minute of it. Pardon me, every goddamn minute of it. Or at least pretend to. Why should I? Jessica demanded petulantly. She didn't like to admit it, but on the rare occasions that Elizabeth really lost her temper and told her off, it had the desired effect of making her back down. Because if you don't, Elizabeth leaned close to make sure she didn't miss a word. I'll tell everyone in school what you did to Enid. Jessica was really frightened now. Deep down, she knew what an awful thing it was she'd done. Not even Kara would have gone that far.
Almost regretting not doing the Batman voice for this book. What would people say about her if they knew? What would Bruce think? Bruce Patman. She gulped back the sob she could feel forming in her chest. Even if Elizabeth had won this round, Jessica wasn't about to let her sister think she cared. Oh my God.
Have it your way then.
She flung back. But if you think I'm going to do anything really gross like kissing that nerd, you better think again.
I don't think that's in the
I
requirements.
don't think you're required to. Yeah. A devilish, Grinch-like grin spread across Elizabeth's face. Ah, shit, Jess. I hadn't thought about it, but that's not a bad idea, you know?
I think the crossed out word was G's.
I thought it was fart.
I'm going with,
Fart.
aw, shit.
Fart, Jess.
Fart, Jess. You know, you can really be sweet when you need to, or when you want to, and when you need to. I'm sure that would make Wynn very happy. Oh, no!
Yeah.
Jessica began backing away. Elizabeth advanced on her step for step.
Evil!
Oh, yes.
Liz, you can't do this to me. Think of my reputation. I'll be absolutely ruined.
I don't think so, Jess. Who knows? Your reputation might even improve.
Lizzie, please, have a heart. You can't do this to your very own sister.
Try me, bitch. Just remember, dear sister, who writes eyes and ears in case you're tempted to back out. I can put all this in the paper, motherfucker. Jessica sank down in the nearest chair in temporary defeat. Temporary meaning she'll come back next book.
Yes.
Over
book
the
3
heads-
on the way.
Something else terrible.
Over the heads of the dancing couple, she caught a glimpse of Winston, a huge grin plastered across his face, bobbing toward her.
She groaned, wishing the floor would swallow her up that very instant. A roll from Emily Mayer's drum announced that the photographer had set up his equipment and the crowning of the king and queen was about to take place. Jessica approached the stage as if she were about to be beheaded. It was so unfair. Why couldn't Enid have been the one stuck with Winston? Of course, she knew perfectly well why, but that didn't stop her from feeling a flood of resentment. Meanwhile, she was smiling so hard the muscles in her cheeks ached. Under Elizabeth's watchful eye, she mounted...
Just like Frankenfurter.
Even smiling makes my face ache. Under Elizabeth's watchful eye, she mounted the short flight of steps leading onto the stage. Winston approached from the opposite end, looking like a scarecrow in a tuxedo jacket that was a little too short. His knobby wrists stuck out as he reached to take her hand. Ew, disgusting wrists! The crowd burst into uproarious applause. Jessica wanted to crawl into a hole in the ground. She'd never been so humiliated in her entire life. Congratulations, Jessica, Ronnie murmured as he positioned the rhinestone tiara on her head. You deserve it. I'm really happy you won. I don't know if he's being sarcastic or sincere.
Yeah.
Let's pretend he's stupid.
I think
enough
he's just
to
stupid,
He's
yeah.
being sincere because he doesn't fucking know. Really happy for you.
I'll second the motion, Winston chortled,
Chortling.
looping a bony arm about her shoulders. Jessica winced, fighting back her tears.
Oh my God.
This was supposed to have been the happiest moment of her life.
Really?
And it would have been,
Right?
if only
Right?
Bruce were at her side. Who could have thought that her actions had consequences? She looked out over the blurry sea of faces below. Only one seemed to stand out more clearly than the rest. Her gaze connected with Bruce's sly blue eyes, which seemed to sparkle with some secret message intended just for her, even while his arm rested about the shoulders of his date, a stunning green-eyed redhead. If only, ellipses. Jessica was snapped back to reality by the blinding explosion of a flashbulb. She noticed that her sister was whispering something in the photographer's
This is
ear.
1945.
Right? What a scoop!
Suddenly he called, "How about a kiss for the camera, you two lovebirds?"
Oh, shit.
Jessica steeled herself for the inevitable, cringing inside as she was forced to endure Winston's damp kiss.
Ew. God.
"I'll get you for this, Liz," she raged inwardly.
Raged.
Her last sight of Bruce from the stage before he strolled off, linked to his date, was of a lazy arm raised in mock salute as he called, "Way to go, Wakefield!
Wait.
That dude's got a large Johnson."
Wait. Remember, he's Jeff Goldblum.
Oh, I'm sorry. Way to go, Wakefield. That man is clearly well endowed.
I don't remember him being Jeff Goldblum.
We only had like a scene with him, but I remember doing that.
Jessica longed to run after him, to throw herself at his feet, anything.
Jessica, get your shit together.
But she knew she'd made enough of a fool of herself for one night. Besides,
Oh, shit.
Ooh.
there was still hope.
John, take us home.
Despite her frustration, she wouldn't let go of the deep down belief that someday, somehow, she would have Bruce Patman. Of course, that would mean coming up with an entirely new plan, since this one had failed so miserably.
Or you could
But
just
she'd
try,
think of something.
being yourself and dating
A
someone
decent person.
like a normal, not scheming, but whatever.
She
Like,
wanted
not put
nothing
yourself
more
in
than to be
situations
Miss
where people
Patman.
wreak revenge.
But she'd think of something, didn't she always? Smiling through her tears, Jessica allowed herself to be tugged onto the dance floor by an eager Winston, who was practically tripping all over himself in his exuberance. She closed her eyes, trying hard to imagine that he was Bruce, that she was floating in all these people floating and shit, that she was floating in the strong arms of the boy she loved. But the image dissolved every time Winston's clumsy, his clammy foot.
That's way better.
Every time Winston's clumsy foot ground down on her toe. Just
Because
then,
his dick got in the way of his foot.
Yeah, he's uncoordinated. He doesn't know.
you think
he's a
Winston's
tripod.
packing?
Yeah.
That's been the joke the whole time.
Okay.
You hadn't listened to the earlier episodes, but
It's a callback.
yeah.
Well, now I must. Just then, Bruce sailed past, nearly colliding with her as he stumbled backward in an attempt to escape Winston's murderous feet. He swept her with a long look that sent an electric shock tingling up her spine. There was a hint of invitation in his smile, and more than a spark of interest in his sexy blue eyes. Some of her misery faded. Could it be? Can Jessica play Bruce Patman's game and win? Find out in Sweet Valley High, number 3, Playing with Fire.
Wait, I
Page
thought
118.
he was leaving the room.
He is.
I thought he was walking out. How did he then walk into them?
I don't know.
He might have went out of his way to go near her.
Okay.
He doesn't know any better. He doesn't know that she's a sociopath.
Oh my god, there's so many books. The next one's called Playing with Fire, which I feel like could be the name of every one of these books.
Yeah.
So
And
could
again,
Power Play. Book 4 is called Power
yeah,
Play, and
Power
that sounds
Play.
like the name of this one, too.
Ooh, book 5 is called All Night Long.
Oh, yeah.
All
like that
night
song.
long, bananas.
We don't have the rights to that.
Again, I'm gonna stop sharing the screen so we can see each other's beautiful faces again. Again, I'm gonna say it.
Oh God, I just saw what I looked like.
I know.
This book
right?
should have
I'm
been
so
called
prepared.
Rumors, not Secrets.
Yeah.
This book was almost entirely rumors.
Yeah. It was mostly rumors and then one secret that was revealed almost
Immediately in the first chapter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, not
Yeah,
the
it
worst
was poor
critique of the
title.
world.
Well, yeah.
But
it
it's
should have
just-
been called
it's
rumors.
it's
It would have made
misleading.
a lot more sense.
Yeah. All right. Well, that
But I
was...
loved it.
Oh, yeah.
I love the SVU. I'm a big proponent of the SVU. I think we should just be an SVU podcast.
Just all SVU all day.
I want to read nothing but this because it's great.
all those
Special Valleys unit.
Ad-lib.
Yeah.
I don't even feel the need to ad lib when I read these pages because
It's
it's
true.
just great on its own.
There's very little. What were
Yeah.
you going to say?
Just the titles of the other books. I want to read every single one of them.
Absolutely.
There's one called Kidnapped. I want to fucking read that.
Kidnapped?
There's one called Rags to Riches. I want to read that
Oh,
one.
my God.
They all sound amazing.
Yeah. They're way too good.
And some of them do have those interchangeable names. There was Heartbreaker. There was Showdown.
Hearts.
There was Dear Sister. Those all
Yeah.
those could just be shuffled around.
Yeah.
And if the first two books are any indication, it'll always be Jessica's a piece of shit, so Elizabeth punishes her.
And
for
she's
it.
the Machiavellian schemer. Yeah.
I'm sure at some point...
When love dies.
Ooh, boy. That's when Bruce breaks up with
wow.
Jessica.
Jesus Christ.
Because they're going to
Like-
get together, and then he's going to break up with her,
Dear
and it's going to be like...
sister?
It's going to be like the
If
end
there's
of the
ever
world.
a point if there's ever a point where Elizabeth punishes someone that doesn't fucking deserve it, I will agree with you, Bekah, that she's mean.
Well, my thing, I think that
Vigilante justice.
I think that it's gonna be this formula for a bit where like Jessica's just a scheming shitbag, and then Elizabeth figures it out way after she should have, and then like does some really, really, really like devious shit. And then I think the tables are gonna turn, and then I think at some point Elizabeth is gonna like, you know, probably have a crush on some guy or something, and like do something really shitty.
Oh, and Jessica has like a lava river moment where it's like, this isn't the way, and Elizabeth's like,
Lava
I
river
learned
moment.
it from you.
And she's gonna say, "You are my sister. I have the high ground."
See, I was holding myself back from making a Star Wars comparison like a few minutes ago, and now you jumped right in. But now I can't remember what
John
comparison
Walker just
I was
died
getting ready to make.
inside.
Oh no, not. I mean, I came alive. I felt like I was born in that moment.
Oh man. John, what did you think?
I mean, I think I sort of think that it was surprising to me how bitter Elizabeth seemed. I would say that was my one takeaway from this. Was I really thought she would be sort of the quote unquote good kid and not the kind of like, you know, drawn into the morass of her sister's badness. But I also don't know if I knew that Jessica was bad. I guess I thought they were kind of like sort of different, you know. Like they might compete for the same part in the play, or they might compete for the same crush or something. But I did not think that it was going to be literally like these two twins are enemies who plot against each other.
Hold on. What did Elizabeth do that was so horrible? All she did was make sure Winston Egbert.
Chris is so.
But it's that she made every
was
one of
the
her
king.
thoughts was of revenge. I think that's what we're talking about. We're not
It's
so
like
much talking about.
It's what Bekah said.
Yeah,
that
but-
she was so laser focused. It was like, you know, like serial killer mentality. Like really.
Well, I'm not saying that it was serial killer mentality, but yeah, the fact that she plotted a revenge is still a lot.
Yeah.
That's not nothing. I've never plotted a revenge in my life. Have any of you
I don't think so.
plotted
Yes.
and carried out
You
a
have?
revenge?
I think it would ruin my plans if I were to say anything right now. So
I'm just saying
John
it's
Walker
not
plays the long
nothing.
game.
I'll get back to you.
It's some amount of effort.
I don't think I've
But
ever
I'm
plotted
saying-
revenge.
If you take this book by itself, what did Jessica do? She snooped in her sister's room, saw a letter that was shared in confidence with her sister and her best friend that she is jealous of because originally Enid was her friend. So to punish Enid and further her own gains, she shared that letter with Enid's boyfriend. What did Elizabeth do? Found out what she did and made a different person fall dance king.
I'm not saying Elizabeth was worse. I'm just saying I did not remember her, I guess, having so much agency in like planning this shit also.
Yeah.
I kind of just remembered it as her being like nerdy and passive, and not so much as in the first book she had a revenge on Jessica. In this book, she had a revenge on Jessica.
Yeah.
I didn't
what I was
really
gonna
remember that happening at all.
That's what I was gonna say. In the first book, when it happens, it feels super justified. You're like, oh yeah, that's right, get her. And in this book, it's like, oh again, like you guys are just like repeating this cycle.
I just didn't really remember them as like so much as rivals as Jessica taking a lot of advantage of Elizabeth.
Yeah.
But it's been a long time since I
Well-
read them. I just didn't really remember Elizabeth like rising to the occasion so often.
Well, and like
I just don't think that's a reflection on Elizabeth as a character. It's a reflection on the writer
my
for
God.
repeating the same formula over and over again. The last book, she had her sister thrown in a pool. This one, someone else was king. That was her revenge.
But that was, that's a lot of escalation for Jessica. It was definitely worse to be queen to Winston's king than to be thrown in a pool.
but like way more effort went into it in the last book. All she did this time was say like, I think Winston and my sister are dating. That's like all she did.
but
It was like such a zero effort revenge. But like, I think that's why it's so masterful. and why
To
I'm
John's point,
Team Elizabeth all the way.
Oh, I'm still Team
Fuck
Elizabeth.
Jessica.
To John's point, I think it's funny because these books, I do think like when you think of them, and also the way they're presented, I do think they're presented as just like these two sisters are different. It's like these twin sisters
One smiles,
are
the
different, and
other
then you read it and you're like,
Right.
oh my god.
One's
like-
book smart, the other's street smart. You know, like
yeah,
it's
like
that.
The book, the writer, the book cover, like what you hear about Sweet Valley, like it doesn't inform you of like like the
I
shittiness.
don't really remember there being like machinations against
Yeah.
each other.
Yeah.
I just kind of remembered like one is shallow and one's nerdy.
There was like attempted rape in the first book, like that. I was not expecting
that
that
was a
shit
lot.
at all. And then like you look at the cover and it's just like, ooh, what's Jessica up to this time? You're like, ooh,
I got
boy.
it. Jessica's a psychopath. Elizabeth is a sociopath.
I don't know. I'm not a psychiatrist. I don't agree. I think
Listeners, write in.
Do you think Jessica's a sociopath or a psychopath? Or do you think Jessica's a psychopathic sociopath? Write into podcast@cactusrodeo.com and let us know
Or a
what you
Soka
think.
Poka psychopatha. Something, just some kind of...
I just
If
want
you're
it on
looking
the
forward
record.
to a Sokatano,
Jessica's
let us
a
know.
psychopath. Elizabeth's a sociopath, but she uses her powers for good.
Oh my gosh. Or revenge. She uses her powers for revenge.
Well, that's just it. Like, Jessica never would have been punished if she never did the things she
All right,
did.
we're talking in circles. John, thank you for coming on the show and helping us wrap this one up.
Yeah, anytime.
What do you want people listening to know about?
You know what? You should follow me on social media, Instagram and Twitter at Gianni W, GIANNIDUBYA. I am soon going to be announcing things that are fun and exciting that I can't mention now, and the simplest thing to do is just follow me there. But also, you can find podcasts that I edit and produce at a network called FYIZ. Just look for FYIZ wherever you get your podcasts. Every week, you can hear me on the Movie Schmovie podcast with my friends Ronald and Steve, where we talk about basically what we watched that week, but we try to make that into a show. And we've been doing it for over 300 episodes, so
Jesus Christ.
hey, no one stopped us yet. And I think the last thing I'll say is my music. You can find me under the name Sci-Fi, SIGHFIGH, on your Spotify and your Apple Music and your Bandcamp and all that kind of stuff.
It's all good.
And that's all.
It's all good. Listen to it. Chris.
You can also find John Walker on The Sketchy Show with me and Jonathan Eaton.
That's right.
Just keep promoting more things of John.
A dumb show that only we listen to.
Probably.
Gloriously dumb, though.
Improvised sketches that are edited into something that kind of makes sense. And you can follow me on all the things at Chris Z Isn't Funny.
You can also hear John Walker's wonderful music on Pop Sucket Theater at popsuckettheater.com. John Walker did all of the music for season 1 and coming up in season 2. Also, he's going to be playing a character,
Including
And
a
you
song
know what?
about
John
darning.
Walker also did the theme song for my other podcast, CD Reads.
Oh shit, that's right, he did.
And
Holy
I
shit.
can't remember the last time we recorded a new episode, but he did the theme song for that. So you should listen to John Walker's theme song of the podcast.
CD Reads. Go to Cactus.
And then also,
Also
if you want to
help-
listen to the rest of the episode,
Yeah.
I guess you can if you want to.
Am I a Nexus event?
I think so.
Also
I think so.
helped write season 2 of Pop.
That's
Sucker
right.
Theater.
Yeah.
He just did the music in the first one, but like he plays a character and he writes for the second.
You know what I'm realizing? I need to stop. I need to just not.
You need to just not for a
Can
while.
you not?
Can you just stop? You know what? I feel your pain, and I know what it's also like to not be able to stop. It hurts. You stare into the void and you say, "Why? Why do I have to
You stare
keep
into
doing
the
this?"
void, and the void stares back and goes, "Like, calm down."
Jesus, dude.
And then I say, "No, I have to be funny." Go to cactusrodeo.com, read all my comics, and go to cactusrodeo.com/podcast and listen to all our shit. All of our shit. So much of this. We've done so
And
much
tune
of
into
this.
the next below grade level, where we will probably read something spooky.
Oh, we definitely should. It's fall now.
Oh, shit.
Well, almost, but, you know.
Oh,
I mean,
in our hearts, it's fall.
shit. Yeah, I mean, it's like three.
shit.
It's like three. or, you know.
It very well may be a Goosebumps book we read 6 years ago,
It's-
but you don't know that.
Spoiler alert, it is 100% a
Listener.
Goosebumps book that we read 6 years ago.
Also, listener, why are you still listening at this point?
But you know what?
You're a weirdo.
Here's the thing. I'm going to give us some homework. But between now and the next time we do a new episode, let's come up with some real good spooky shit to read. Something new, something spooky, some spooktacular shit. If you think of anything, listener, please let me know. Okay, we love you. Bye.
Bye.
Below Grade Level is a Cactus Radio production. You can contact us at podcast@cactusrodeo.com. Subscribe and follow on iTunes, Stitcher, and Spotify, and follow Cactus Rodeo on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter for more entertainment and updates.
Look the same at Sweet Valley, Sweet Valley. Sweet Valley, Sweet Valley, Sweet Valley. Sweet Valley. You can never really tell which one you're standing next to. One thing is for sure, you can be sure of nothing. Lots of gossip going round.